Welcome back to the Maximum Lawyer Podcast. I'm Jim Hacking.
And I'm Tyson Mutrix. What's up, Jimmy?
Tyson, I'm so excited. My daughter has been insisting that I get on TikTok for quite some time. We had a video that went viral on Saturday. We shot it in my front yard. It took me literally 7 minutes, and it has over 200,000 views. And we've gone from 640 followers to 3,000 followers. And so she's really excited because I told her for every 1,000 followers, I'd give her $100. So I'm giving her $300 this week. She's very excited.
Pretty awesome. So is it too late for TikTok for me to jump into TikTok?
I started a month ago.
Nice. I mean, I understand that the algorithm's pretty awesome apparently compared to Facebook and the other one. So it's just another platform, I guess I need to maybe get on. Like I'm really hesitant because what's the one that's like audio only?
That's Clubhouse or something.
Clubhouse. I feel like it's already kind of burned out. So like I'm hesitant to jump into a new social media channel. But anyways, you want to introduce our guest?
Yeah, so our guest today is Adam Rossen. Like he said at the top of the show, he's a criminal defense and DUI lawyer, very successful down in Florida, and has a growing firm. So I was really excited. We scheduled this call out a couple months, and I'm really glad Adam's on the show. So Adam, thank you.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
I love your tagline, when bad things happen to good people, and it really is interesting because the people that don't do criminal defense, they don't quite understand. Like sometimes it's just a stupid mistake that someone's made. They're a good person. They made a stupid mistake. But let's get to you though. Let's tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in South Florida. So I've been here pretty much all my life. And growing up, I didn't know if I wanted to be a doctor or a lawyer. I kind of went back and forth. And all it took was half of a semester of organic chemistry at UF for me to say, you know what, this isn't for me. So I switched majors to criminology. It was pretty easy. I enjoyed it. So then I decided to add psychology as well because the two really went well together and it was things that I enjoyed, and went to law school down in Miami. And started off as a prosecutor for about 2 years and just decided to leave and start my own firm. My old partner and I, we were roommates. It was kind of like being a 25, 26-year-old prosecutor in Fort Lauderdale was kind of like Grey's Anatomy in a way, but for law. Like we were just partying and hanging out, and we had a really cool group of maybe about 20 young prosecutors and public defenders that became instant friends. It was like a big frat house. And then we left to start our own firm, and we were partners from 2008 to 2015, and he wanted to split. And when he split, that's kind of when I was reinvigorated and said, all right, it's all on me. I need to figure this stuff out, because we were there for 7 years together and we didn't even have a legal assistant or secretary. It was just the two of us. I was pretty much my own secretary and I was his secretary. So and about 2015 or so is when we started just really, growing. And it's been fantastic. We've had some great growth over the last few years.
What spurred that growth? What changed after he left?
Well, it was kind of I just went all in. So I was also a high school basketball coach at the time that we were together. I was a pretty good player myself, and I got into it in law school, and I loved coaching basketball. And two of my former players ended up working for me. So, but once he kind of made that decision, I was like, all right, well, my life raft, my buddy, the guy who can hold my hand, we're in this together, is gone. It's all on me. I kind of felt like my back was against the wall, and I'm like, I can't coach anymore. I have to go all in with this. So I just started consuming content. Anything I could find online about how to, market, grow, and build a law firm.
So I think Jim and both of us can relate to like a partnership splitting up. And I know that feeling that you're talking about, that reinvigoration of like, oh, I've got this energy, I can restart almost and almost hit a restart button. So take us back to that moment, whenever that happened, that time frame when that happened, and really what it was like for you.
It was, I want to say like January 5th or 6th of maybe 2015. And he just told me like, look, and we were doing criminal and immigration at the time. And my old partner, he learned it from scratch. So when we started in 2008, we had nothing better to do. We had no clients. So he learned it. We would go, Jim, we would hang out at Chrome down in Miami and at 333 South Miami, and we would just go into courtrooms and just sit and watch and take notes. And then, he went to a bunch of ALA conferences and learned it. And, and his niche was really the removal of the deportation defense. But it was just sitting there going, okay, it's, Adam, it's all on you now. And I remember distinctly, it was a Saturday morning sitting in, my girlfriend, now wife's apartment down in Miami, going, all right, I got to figure this AVO thing out. It was 2015 and I'm like, I'm an 8.1. How do I get to a 10.0? And I remember distinctly being there that Saturday morning, trying to figure all this stuff out and go through, the corporation and just, build the corporation and do all like the stuff over again. And, we always joke about that now, just like sitting on her white couch on a Saturday morning down in Miami, just going through all that stuff and kind of coming up with my own, business plan. It was really exciting. I think I've learned that I really like to build. So whether it was being a basketball coach, because I won a state championship. And when I won the state championship, I was actually kind of sad. It was weird. It was, I accomplished my goal. And then I was like, okay, well, what's next? It was really such a weird feeling that came over me that day, like while we're celebrating. So I think I just really like to build things. I don't know. I'm still kind of going through my own like personal, path of self-discovery too. So.
That's awesome. So you said that you were the firm secretary for both you and your partner, and obviously now you've built a much bigger firm. Talk to everyone just so they know about the size of your firm and the scope of it, and then tell everyone about how you sort of started building. I'd be really interested in those first couple hires, what you focused on.
Right. Oh, absolutely. So right now we have our sixth lawyer is joining us in a few weeks. So we're very excited for that. So we're going to have 6 criminal defense attorneys, and we're going to be at about 15 people right now. So it's pretty cool, especially for criminal law. It's usually just that, solo lawyer and the legal assistant. But going back, the way I did it was, I really focused 2015, 2016 on just marketing, get clients in. Looking back, I wish I did the systems first. And I listen to Tyson all the time talk about that. And I'm just like, I'm so bad at that, because it doesn't really excite me. The marketing excites me and the building excites me. But, I got to a point where I couldn't handle really anything anymore. So, I distinctly remember having 3 trials in 5 weeks. And when I was a prosecutor, that's nothing. We were in trial every single week. But as a defense attorney, as a private defense attorney, when you have that and you're doing, and they weren't even that complicated trials, but when you're doing everything by yourself in a trial and you have to worry about the phone ringing and everything else, it was hard. So I took that time and I said, all right, I need to hire somebody. So I hired my first legal assistant, who was a former, not a basketball player of ours, but he was our team manager about 10 years before. So we had a great connection. And he was he became the first employee of the firm as a legal assistant. And I slowly, he knew nothing about law. So the first month, I taught him seals and expungements. The second month, I taught him something else. The third month, it was how to schedule depositions, all the things that I was scheduling depositions and doing the paperwork at 8, 9 o'clock at night. So, I kind of unlocked him every month. And then after that, I said, before I hire an attorney, I really want to make sure the marketing is good. So I hired a part-time marketing assistant, and she helped a lot. And we did a lot of strategic thinking and a lot of, just taking action from that. And about 6 months later, it was like, all right, I'm drowning. It's time. And one of my really good friends, who also I was his basketball coach as well, we had talked for a long time. He was a public defender, and then he went to do some civil work and wanted to leave and get back into criminal. So we talked, we set it up, and he came on board. I believe it was April of 2017 or 2018. And I remember the third night, I think it was Wednesday morning of that first week, I woke up at 3 a.m. sweating. And I go, I just bought a house that I can barely afford. And now a huge chunk is going to go to him. What did I do? Right. And later that afternoon, we had a $25,000 case paid in full. And I was like, okay, we're good. All is good. It's going to be fine. And of course, now I look back on that, and the advice I give people is, I'm like, look, it's not a marriage. You're not in this forever when you hire somebody, and you divide it by 26. Right, if you're on a every 2 week pay period. So you don't have to look at that big chunk as all up front. And I learned very quickly that freed me up to go out and do more marketing and, do more signups and do more of the things that I was really good at. And then from there, it was just kind of incremental growth. Right before the pandemic, we were at 2 lawyers, 1 full-time marketer, and 3 staff. So we were 6 people. And at that point, I still remember 2020 being pretty scary. Especially the first 2 months, we were probably averaging about 15 clients a month. And then April 2020, we had 3. And May 2020, I think we had 7. But what we did is we converted our 2 new legal assistants to marketing assistants, and we had them just write and do backlinks. And we took on about 15 interns over Zoom that summer. And we gave them writing assignments, and we got about 50,000 words of content that we put on our site that summer. And that, with a few other things, just started kind of, and people in South Florida wanting to rage and party, kind of catapulted us. And by, we hired our 3rd lawyer really January of last year of 2021. And in the last 15 months, we've gone from 2 lawyers to 6. So it's kind of taken off. And our biggest struggle the last 12 months has been the systems, the management, all those things that when I told Jim the bullshit that, as I said, that he called me out on at our guild day last year. So that's just kind of what happened. And it's been really hard, but it's been amazing.
So that's a good segue, because what I wanted to ask you about is, during this growth phase, what are some of the biggest hurdles that you faced? And you just kind of mentioned one, but what are some of the other ones?
Communication. We started EOS, and our EOS coach just kind of wrote out, when there's 2 people, it's 1-to-1, and then there's 3, and you get that little triangle of communication, and then 4, and then 5, and it just exponentially grows the potential miscommunication. So communication and systems, right now, one of our big things is, I call it, we're going to, like Lord of the Rings, one ring to rule them all. We're going to have one system to rule them all. Not legal assistant A does it her way, and B does it their way, and C takes a combination but found this shortcut. So we're really trying to just have one system for everything that we do. And that's definitely been a challenge, but it's exciting, because the alternative is that I would be back where I was doing everything, which I don't want to do anymore. I want to be here talking to you guys.
I love the creation of 50,000 words with Zoom interns. I mean, that's massive action. I'm not going to sit on my pity pot and feel sorry for myself because of this goddamn COVID. This is taking action. And, you said early on that, you mistakenly went to marketing first and foremost because that's what you love. I don't think that was a mistake at all. I think that probably saved you, and now it's fueling this growth that you're seeing, is that you doubled down on the marketing. You didn't just back off and say, oh, woe is me, no one's committing any crimes, our firm is screwed. You went and said, there's people out there still committing crimes or being accused of crimes. We're going to go find them and let them find us.
Right. Yeah. And what I've learned just from, I'm turning 41 next week, right? So I've been around for a little bit, but when other people zig, you zag, and the opposite. So everybody put their head in their sand. Everybody in South Florida, whether it was criminal or other types of law, were, cutting pay, laying people off. And I said, we had 3 of our 6 employees hadn't even been with us 90 days. And I said, no way. What kind of leadership is that? And we'll just, switch people's position. And even though they didn't sign up to be content writers, right, for 2-3 months, they can do that. And then we just had a flood of interns come in, and, people that lost in-person internships. And I kind of thought, I didn't originally think of it as we're going to get all this content from them. I originally thought of it as it's kind of our moral duty to provide a great experience for people who lost a great experience. And then within a week or 2, I started thinking about it, and I go, oh, I can leverage them too. Let's go. So we did. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So, as anyone that's done criminal defense knows, cash can be a problem, right? It could be a massive problem. And it sounds like you've done a really good job managing cash. So I just wonder what advice you might be able to give people that are running a criminal defense firm to manage their cash. Because there's two things that eat cash. One, or the major thing is growth, right? That eats a lot of cash. In criminal defense, it can be really tough because it can be inconsistent when it comes to cash flow. So what advice do you have for criminal defense lawyers when it comes to managing their cash flow?
Well, I've always been pretty conservative with just saving cash. So even during COVID, I'll go back to that. I wasn't freaking out because I had a lot of money saved in the business. And I said to myself, I'm like, okay, if I make a little less, I know what I need to live. It's fine. It's not really about me. It's about the firm, and continuing to build and grow. So number one, I would just say, don't spend all the money that you come in. Most people, right, as their, what I always like to say, as their top line increases, their bottom line increases too. And that's not the right way to do it. I think a lot of it though has to do with the marketing to a specific client. So we've found that we do not do well with the typical jailhouse client. I'd say less than 5%, easily less than 5% of our clients are currently in jail. So that's why we have our motto, when bad things happen to good people. Yeah. Sometimes I screw up. Yeah. When bad things happen to good people, right? So, and it's about attracting and repelling, just classic direct response marketing, or just marketing in general. So we've put some barriers up recently to the clients that we've just found we don't do well with, to really protect our time. And that's really helped. So like violations of probation, we have a consultation fee because they're in custody, and all they want to do is get out. And it's not about what the total fee is. It's about, well, how much can I pay now? And then we're chasing money. On the flip side though, I am personally a big believer in, if you come to me and you say, I want you guys, I need you guys, can you work out a payment plan? I will do it. And I'll try to make it as reasonable as I can for those type of clients. But the clients that come in and say, well, so-and-so will do it for $300 cheaper or $1,000 cheaper, we're not a commodity. So we try, that doesn't work with us. So really, I think it starts with the marketing. You really have to market to the type of client that you want. And it can be hard with criminal defense because you can say anybody, but not really. We really love our first time and second time people. We love clients that, have substance abuse or mental health issues. We love our nurses and our teachers, just blue collar workers though, that have a lot to lose. And even though they're not wealthy, they will pay $2,500 more to have us because, than the other person they met with, because they care that much about their teaching certificate or their nursing license or whatever it is. So I think those things have really been a key. I mean, we're not perfect. We still, I think one of my next hires might need to be a full-time like billing department person. At some point, I know, Umansky's a lot bigger than me, and he has somebody on staff that does that, billing / accounting. So, but yeah, that's some of the advice I'd give, is really, it all starts with attracting who you want and repelling who you don't.
You're listening to the Maximum Lawyer Podcast. Our guest today is Adam Rossen. He's a successful criminal defense and DUI attorney down in South Florida. Adam, you've raised some really great marketing concepts on today's show. I'm just wondering, where did you get your background in marketing, and what have you studied or learned over time?
Yeah, so in 2015, I just kind of consumed everything I could. I forget when you guys started, but whenever you guys started, I found your podcast. I found a lot of the Ben Glass stuff. I'm still a member in Ben's group, and I know, Jim, I think you were in it years ago. So a lot of it was from him. A lot of it just other people. I did, that led me to some Dan Kennedy stuff, and just really, I was just in 2015 and 2016. I feel like I consumed so much marketing content, but didn't really act on it until I could get that part-time marketing person. And now it's a lot more about, okay, stop consuming and start acting. But really that first year or two is just consume anything I can get my hands on, and just car rides, going back and forth from court, listening to everything. Didn't have kids, then, so it was easy to at night. And my girlfriend didn't live with me, or my wife, then girlfriend didn't live with me. She lived in Miami, she was in law school herself. So it was just, I had a ton of time.
All right, Adam, I have not asked this question in several months, so I've reserved it for you. What is that one thing that you struggle with the most when it comes to running your firm?
Oh, I struggle with a lot. I'd say, well, now we're running EOS, and my biggest struggle is getting me out of all of the other seats so I can just be the visionary. That's definitely my biggest struggle. I'm too involved in intake, but I'm really good at it and I like it. I'm too involved in the finance, but I've already committed to letting a lot of that go. I've already committed to letting a lot of the management go to our integrator, and actually he's the managing partner now of the firm. So one of our 1-year goals, we just had our annual, one of our 1-year goals for the rest of this year is to get me out of every other seat except for, not intake manager, but I can still do intakes, be an intake attorney, and then visionary. And hopefully we're, about 9 months away from that.
So along those lines, you're going to be speaking at Max Law Con 2022, and we all agreed that you had the best title for your talk, and I'm going to just read it for everybody. You're just a highly paid bookkeeper. How I got my ass kicked at the Max Law Guild Day and what I've done about it. Do you want to give everyone a little teaser about what you're going to talk about?
Yeah, sure. So we had our Guild Day last October, and Jim, you were our, whatever you want to call it, leader, moderator, Zen master. And by the way, we had 2 grown men bawling in tears. We won't talk about who they were, but probably a few more that wanted to. It was like a surreal experience. But I walked in there and I was just, I think we were at 12 employees, and I'm like, okay, I want to get to 20 employees. I need that next level of growth. And I just kind of came in, like bat out of hell. And then I was just bitching and complaining about all the other things I have to do, like writing checks and dealing with bookkeeping. And then everybody just stopped and piled on me. And I can take it. I mean, I loved it. I was like, okay. Everybody's like, dude, you don't have a bookkeeper and you're talking about growing to 20 employees. You don't have an office manager and you're talking about going to 20 employees. Like, what's wrong with you? You're the bookkeeper. You're the office manager. And that's why you can't do all the things you want to do, because you're writing the damn check. And you're worried about all this little things. They're like, Adam, you got to stop. And it was great. I mean, I was sitting there, I was like, oh yeah. Like, and the way I look at it is, a bookkeeper, the problem I had was a bookkeeper and an office manager, they're not generating revenue, right? Like we need a new legal assistant. Well, they're helping move cases. A new lawyer will help move cases, maybe bring some in, whatever. But I was just like, it was just mindset, right? And I think maybe we had 12 people in our group, and I was counting, I think 10 of the 12, the issue boiled down to mindset, not tactics or any strategy or anything else. The problem was all mindset. And then so I told Jim, you're right, or Jim, I don't know if you told me or I told you, but we were like, we agreed that the rest of the conference, every time you saw me, you were just going to say, did you hire your bookkeeper yet? Did you hire your bookkeeper yet? And even I think on stage you called me out. So I loved it. And a few people from the group have texted me occasionally since then. Did you hire your bookkeeper? What are you doing? And then I went home and, immediately was like, all right, I have to start acting. So we have now, Jim, we have the same bookkeeper. We've hired Leslie. She's amazing. She's fixing all of our problems, at least related to bookkeeping. And she said, I'm not as bad as you were. So.
That's right. You probably couldn't be.
Right. She goes, you're not as bad as Jim. Jim was worse. I was like, okay, that makes me feel a little better. But yeah, just, and I picked that because I wanted to talk to people wherever you're at in growth or size, whether you want to grow or not. A lot of it is just taking action. And sometimes you need somebody to call you on your bullshit. From a place of love, but it doesn't have to be that nice either. It can be, tough, right? And I think I've always done pretty well with tough, honest coaching. So I wanted to, I picked that because I wanted to give that back to people. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that can relate in some form or another.
Excellent stuff. I think that's part of that's probably the coach inside of you too. So that's really good. I think it's a good place to end it right there. We're going to wrap things up. Before I do, I want to remind everyone to join us in the big Facebook group. A lot of great activity going on there. If you want a more high level conversation, join us in the guild. Go to maxlawguild.com. Remember to get your tickets to MaxLawCon 2022, maxlawcon2022.com. June 2nd and 3rd in St. Charles, Missouri, which is right next to St. Louis. And then if you don't mind, while you're listening to the rest of this episode, give us a 5-star review. We would greatly appreciate it. Jimmy, what is your hack of the week?
My hack of the week is to make yourself binge worthy. Make yourself binge worthy. What do I mean by that? Well, with content right now, if you haven't been paying attention, watch what happens when your next Netflix shows ends. It feeds right into the next show. On Spotify, when your playlist ends, they're feeding you more music. They want to keep you on the platform. And the reason for that is they want you to binge the content, whatever it is. And so the reason we need to be creating content on a regular basis isn't just for the sake of creating content. It's so that when someone is hot and bothered, they're thinking about hiring a criminal defense lawyer, they've gotten into trouble down in South Florida, and they're thinking about hiring Adam, they want to consume as much Adam content as they can, and that's going to make them feel better about their decision. And it's definitely the way to go. So make yourself binge worthy.
I love that. And who does it terribly is Hulu. Hulu wants to push you onto another show. It's the dumbest thing. Netflix has it perfectly done. I agree with that. Adam, you are up next. What is your tip or hack of the week?
Yeah, so I thought about this a lot, and coming back with my theme of just taking action. There's a saying, I forget who says it, and I don't want to butcher it either, but it's action without vision is a nightmare, and vision without action is nothing but a daydream. So you need to have the vision, right? The plan, the strategy, and then you have to have the second component of just to act on it, to start doing things. Because I think a lot of us, or at least I used to be the one getting just caught up in the daydreams and the planning so much, and having something be perfect. And you just have to just start doing something, because that's been one of the biggest keys to our growth, is just acting. And a lot of the things that we even did at the beginning of the pandemic did not work, right? Today I told you about the things that did work, but we did so many other things that didn't work, but we were trying anything and everything we could.
That is excellent advice. My tip of the week is Speechify. It's an app, and I don't know if it works on the desktop or not. I'm using the free version. There's a paid version, but when you're on Safari, whenever I'm on my phone, if there's an article, if I'm driving, I can just hit play. There's a little play button that hovers in Safari, and I just hit play, and it'll actually read the article to me as I'm driving. It's really cool. So you can get the paid version. I think it works with apps and everything else. But Speechify, I highly recommend it. It's easy to use, easy to install, and everything else. Adam, great episode. I've really enjoyed this. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story.
Oh, thanks for having me. I feel like I finally made the big time, you guys. I'm so excited.
You made it.
I'm here. I'll see everybody in St. Charles.
See you, brother.
Very good.
All right,
Thanks, Adam.
see you guys.
See you, bud.